Okay, so good morning. Today we introduce ourselves to ITIL and service strategy process. Because for any IT infrastructure project, service is the most important thing. It is more important than actually putting the infrastructure into place. Because only when people start using an infrastructure, they will find issues and they will keep on contacting you for service. There might be new additions to be done. There might be changes to the existing system, right? There might be something which you have missed out while building the infrastructure itself. So many issues can pop up when people start using uh, the infrastructure. Now, remember, you might have tested it inside out, but always what happens is issues never pop up when unless and until people actually start using it. That is where the challenge is all about, right? Only when people start using it in real life, they will start seeing problems. So, what are the areas that are to be covered in this? That is, one is service management, the definition part, and how IT was transitioned as a service. SLA, service level agreement management, the key aspect of service, because I think I'll explain carefully. Uh, Four key elements of customer service. We have to identify that. Then information technology infrastructure library, which is called ITIL. Now we need to go to the origins of ITIL, processes covered under ITIL, service lifecycle, timelines of major incidents, what led to ITIL development, ITSM versus ITIL, 10 common myths of ITIL, then service lifecycle and service strategy as a part of service lifecycle. Service management definition. A service is a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customers want to achieve without the ownership of specific cost and risks. Now, when you buy a vehicle, they give you 3 or 4 free services, after which it goes to a paid service. And they keep on following up and give you a chart where you are told when all do you need to service your vehicle. They say 1 lakh kilometer or 9 months, whichever is earlier, or 5,000 kilometers or 2 months, whichever is earlier, right? So they have kind of set milestones where service has to be done. And what does that do actually? That makes sure that the vehicle from the beginning, if you're servicing it properly, will be maintained properly, any issues will be addressed properly, and in the process, it will actually help the vehicle to last longer, and you can have a more efficient uh, vehicle in your hands. A simple example of customer outcome that could be facilitated by IT service might be sales professionals spending more time interacting with customers, facilitated by a remote access service that enables reliable access to corporate sales system from salesperson's laptop. So sales professionals spending more time interacting with customers, facilitated by a remote access service that enables reliable access to corporate sales systems from a salesperson's laptop. Earlier, what used to happen was, salespeople are always in the market, in the field. They're constantly traveling. So even before mobile phones came, the only way they had is either the customer would allow him to use their phone, or if it was an STD or ISD, which was very expensive in those days, the person would have to go to a telephone booth nearby and call up the head office before making any commitment to the customer. The customer may say, I need 2,000 pieces of this by the next month end. Very simple statement to make. But actually speaking, can the salesperson commit the order because he doesn't know what is happening in the manufacturing section. That only probably the production manager will know. So he need to get in touch with the production manager. He might not be available sometimes on his seat, so you cannot connect a call to him. You never know when he is going to come back to his seat because he might be on the floor. Now, with the coming of mobile phones, that eased a bit because you could catch a person wherever he is, irrespective of. So that was establishing contact. Mobile phones helped establish contacts with the required people. With the coming of internet and automation in the factories, everything is there in the system. And internet is there so that the salesman can get connected to the system from wherever he is, whichever location he is. So all that he needs to do is he doesn't have to depend on a person or contact a production manager, for example. He just logs into the system and asks for the details of production. There are even smart systems wherein you can say that I need 2000 of these units on this date. Is it possible or not? The system will internally analyze the current production, the pending orders, etc., and give you a commitment date, whether it is possible or not. First is whether it is possible or not. If it is possible, is it possible on the set date, or is it possible on 2 or 3 days plus or minus, so that you can talk to the customer right away, convince him if you can, maybe leaving a margin of 2 or 3 days more, and then finalize the order then and there itself. And remember, even the order is online, so the customer can log in from his laptop and place an order with the customer. So the whole process is automated, right? So service management becomes much more easier with the coming of technology. Only thing is we must know exactly what are the key components of our service, which is more critical, and give more importance to that and design a system which will be capable of handling all that. Service management is a set of specialized organizational capabilities, the processes, methods, functions, roles, and activities for providing value to customers in the form of services. This is what I explained just now. Good practice can come from many different sources, including public frameworks such as ITIL, SCOBIT, and CMMI. Standards such as ISO/IEC 20000 and ISO 9000, and proprietary knowledge of people in the organization. So you have certain standardized guidelines available. You cannot say standardized because they are basically guidelines which help you to think in those lines so that you can develop an efficient system. So that is one thing. Like ITIL is an example of that. It is not standards actually, it is a set of guidelines which you can follow because each industry has got its own way of operating. So you cannot standardize everything. You cannot say everybody has to follow this method. No, it is not possible. COBIT and CMMI, capability maturity model, what you call, that is again another example of that. Then standards such as ISO/IEC 20000 and ISO 9000, these are more or less standards which you have to follow. And proprietary knowledge of people and organization. Now, this is very important. This is basically the knowledge that an organization has gained over a period of time, which is from their experience. That is why we call it proprietary. It is their experience. And where is it stored? Many of these things may not be documented. Many of these things depend on the people working in the organization. Right. So that is why many organizations give a lot of importance to employee retention, especially manufacturing field and all that, because if employees go, getting another person to substitute him is very, very, very difficult and challenging. Sometimes you may not get a person who can replace that particular person. Accounting and technical services to service-oriented transformation. In 1970s, need for IT always has originated from finance and accounting function. IT industry was at its infancy, so just the beginning. focus on coping up with growing technology. IT department was a game player. IT staff was treated as god and goddesses. That was the kind of approach in during the 70s. I think that went on to uh, late 90s also, early 90s, I would say. 1980s, it was becoming strategic competitive advantage. People started realizing what is the advantage of having all this automation in place. Airlines and banking displayed how IT could affect revenue, profits, etc. And the demand for IT to live up to the customer expectations began to rise. So initially, IT was the most important thing. Later on, they realized that it is not IT, it is the application of IT. How do you use IT to put it to use so that it can increase your efficiency, thereby increasing the efficiency of your organization or culture. In 1990s, most of the users were reasonably computer literate. BYOD has created a revolution in technology. Users have started demanding high quality services from IT. Demotions, terminations, and outsourcing has happened over a period of time. Even now, that stage is kind of at infancy. People are still trying. Because what happens is there is a huge gap between these technical developers and domain experts. Technology developers are comfortable with their technology, and domain people are comfortable with their area of work. When these two people communicate to develop a system, there's a huge gap in the process. That is why companies started taking people from domain areas for development. A chartered accountant for accounting systems, a production manager for production. Now, again, the challenge is just because you have done production engineering doesn't help, because only if you get a person who has practically worked in an organization as a production manager for at least 10 years, you will not get any significant output out of him, because he knows only theory, and theory and practice are completely different. So the only way you can probably only way you can probably make sure that uh, your development processes or the idea generation or whatever is design aspect, whatever it is good only if you have people with solid domain area expertise. So if you want to develop an hospital management system, it is best to get an hospital administrator in place who is a slightly who has got a technological bend of mind also. He's interested in technology. There are people like that. Some people are very, what you call, averse to technology, whereas there are some people who suddenly pick up technology, they like it, and they will give you better ideas. But you need a mix of both, because some people who are not comfortable with technology doesn't mean they don't know anything. They might not be able to translate their requirements into technology-based requirements, but they know exactly what to do because they are having enough experience. So one reason I find, even now, though we talk about technology, there is a huge gap in what people want and what people get, is primarily because of this lack of experience factor. I think this is going to go up with the coming of AI, artificial intelligence. Of course, our AI can be put into use here to help you design systems. And the whole concept of job itself is changing. Not because it was forced to change, it was because our attitude has changed towards life. And of course, marketing strategy, advertising strategy has all pushed in the concept of use of technology for higher standard living. But after some time, you realize that technology is the last thing in the process. Technology is just a tool. It is not the purpose of your life. Some simple thing like everybody is interacting on WhatsApp and Instagram and all that. Nobody interacts directly. We are going to have a generation which cannot speak after some time. They don't know how to speak. They don't know how to understand emotions of people because they all judged by the photographs put on Facebook or Insta. They feel that people are happy. Absolutely not. People are not happy. They are trying to show others that they are happy. The real people who are happy will not put it on, will not advertise it because they don't take it seriously. They would prefer to spend that time also in interaction rather than sitting on Facebook and It's going to be a huge damage. And people are not people today are not thinking in those lines. They don't want to understand anything in depth. Of course, you might get away with it for some time, but on the long run, you will get washed off. That is for sure. That is where AI will completely replace human beings. This is not with specific cases. We're talking about everything, all areas. If you don't have more knowledge, you will find it difficult to survive in the West. And when I say more knowledge, doesn't mean something huge, very small, which will make a difference. Another reason why all these startups, they're talking about so many startups, all these startups are closing down. Gaming companies. I just read on today's newspaper. So many gaming companies are closed down. Yes, of course, at one point of time, it was new, it was a fantasy, and people spend money to play games on the mobile or wherever it is. But after some time, you get bored of this. Because see, gaming is not your permanent or something which is very much required. It was intended to have an entertainment or a relaxation. That's all. But we became addicted to that. That is our problem. We shouldn't have that. So now many people are trying to move out of that. So what is happening? Gaming companies are slowly shutting down. They don't have an existence. We will be left with 3 or 4 games. That's all. Finished. And the amount of resources these games today demand is huge. You need that much of memory, that much of, and you keep on upgrading your system or keep on upgrading your mobile phone. After some time, you will start thinking, why should I do that? Why should I spend so much of money? Now, because many of us are getting money more than what we need, we are thinking of spending it less. But when the crunch comes, especially after AI taking over, there will be a lot of people losing jobs. Packages will come down. Then you will realize that the older generation was better off. They knew to adjust with what is available. So a bit of advice, plan accordingly. Save maximum as you can. There is no, what you call, substitute for that. And that habit of our country especially is still keeping our economy high. After all these years of politicians robbing the country right and left, but still we are strong economy primarily because we have this habit of saving. Countries like US and all are actually in trouble, which is not what we see here. Their economy is in doldrums. Actually. Okay, just by habit. Moving out of the subject now. There is a demand for IT to demonstrate their capability in terms of providing highly available systems and demonstrate ease of use. Now, service level agreement. Now, when you give your service to somebody or there is somebody to serve you for various tasks, you must understand this concept of service level agreement. SLA is short for service level agreements and refer to a documented, negotiated agreement between a representative from an IT department and a representative from an end user department concerning the quality of service that is delivered. So somebody from the end user who is going to use the system and somebody from the IT department. Now, why we say this is because today in an organization, you can see IT department sitting separate. They are people who provide service which is required for the day-to-day functioning of the organization. And something which you cannot compromise because the organization is running on technology. So that is why the IT department of an organization is looked upon as a service provider, and the users who are using this technology within the organization are looked upon as they are looked upon as end users. Right? Okay. Now, So SLA is a short for service level agreement. Why this agreement is required? Because tomorrow there should not be confusion. If something happens, something goes wrong, who will bear the cost of that? And what is the guarantee that this service provider will give you in bringing your system back to functioning at the earliest with minimum delay? So that is where we need a proper SLA, service level agreement. SLA is short of service level agreement and refers to a documented negotiated agreement between a representative from the IT department and a representative from the end user department concerning the quality of service that is delivered. Now, this we are talking within the organization. This can be outside the organization. Say, for example, company like Wipro, they are providing service for so many companies. So here, Wipro is, it is the agreement between Wipro and the customer, which is called the SLA, because they might have outsourced the job to Wipro. Whenever you take an internet connection like Tata or Jio or whatever it is, there is an SLA, not for home connection, but for an organization connection. When you take lease line connections, there is a service level agreement. They guarantee that your problems will be solved within this much of time. It is mentioned in the agreement. And if not, what do you do? Escalate it to what level? How many days should you wait before the problem is resolved before you raise the complaint to a different level altogether? The common SLA metrics include percentage uptime availability, average response time, and escalation procedures for problem. That is what I was just mentioning, escalation for problem. So SLA metrics includes percentage uptime availability. How much do you expect a downtime? Right. So that tells you how much of uptime your system is guaranteed, when it will fail or not. Then average response time. If at all something is, if you register a complaint with your service provider, in what interval will he attend to your call? That is called average response time. Now, you don't just look at one incident, you look at multiple incidents and take the average. It is not fair to look at just one incident, because maybe he was late because of the block, or maybe his vehicle got conged while coming to your place, or he fell ill or sick or something like that. So there might be so many issues. So you take 5 or 6 cases and the time duration taken by them to attend to your service, and then take the average. So you get a more balanced figure. Now, ISP, I was just talking about. Each company, one Internet Incorporated, they guarantee you 99.94% uptime. That means the downtime is minimal. Then Crystal Tech Web Hosting Incremented, 99.90. Dedibox SAS, 99.88. Media Temple Incorporated, 99.80. iPower Web Incorporated, 99.79. One.com AVS, right, 99.78. So each company tells you that this much percentage of the time the system will be up. That is a guarantee that you. So in this case, the best company you could probably choose is Internet Incorporated. Then the next aspect you look at is the cost involved in all this. 4 key elements of customer service. 1, identify the key customers. This is an important slide. Identifying the key customers. So identifying the key customers, identifying key services of key customers, identifying key processes that support key customers, and identifying key suppliers that support key processes. These are the 4 key elements of customer service. These are the area which you must concentrate. Only then you'll be able to provide proper service. 1 is identifying the key customers, first thing. 2, identifying key services of key customers. What all services that particular customer requires. Then identify key processes that support key customers. What are the key processes that support key customers? Then 4, identifying key suppliers that support key products. Right. So the key customers, the key services of key customers, the process that support key customers, and finally, key suppliers that support key processes. Important. Create an index of organization-wide business process and its criticality and sensitivity. That is also important to help you decide the priority of the issues that are to be addressed. Just because the person gives you 99.5% response time doesn't mean that will be the same for all. And you don't have to demand the same for all, because there might be high priority issues, low priority issues. So you, in your service agreement, you can probably ask for 99.5% response time for high priority issues and slightly lower for low priority issues. So first one might be within 2 hours, very critical. You cannot allow downtime. 2 hours is the maximum you can afford, right? Slightly more important would be 24 hours. The next level might be 48 hours, and so on and so forth. Now, identifying key customers. How do you go about doing it? These are the points that you must. Someone chose success critically depends on the service you provide, core, support, and management process. Department heads are good candidates for the key customers. Someone who, when satisfied, assures you success as an organization. Someone who helps market the credibility of the infrastructure organization. Someone who frequently uses, or those organization frequently uses your services. In airlines, the department in charge might use a reservation system module more frequently. In a overnight delivery logistics organization, the department overseeing the package tracking system might be the key customer, right? Now, someone who constructively and objectively critiques the value of your services, someone with the ability and willingness to offer candid and constructive critique. It would be non-critical and low volume user. Then someone who has significant business impact on your company as a corporation, marketing or sales in manufacturing sector, technology and design rooms in aerospace sector, etc. Then someone with whom you have mutually agreed upon reasonable expectations. Exclude those who do not have reasonable expectations from key customers list. Now, key points in identifying key customers. Internal stakeholders. One is your employees, the manager, the owners of the various processes. External stakeholders, your suppliers, the society assets, the government, the creditors, the shareholders, the customers, who are also called the debtors. Right. So you have internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Internal are mainly employees, manager, and owners, whereas external are suppliers, society, government, creditors, shareholders, and customers. Now, identifying key services of key customers. We had the 4 points, right? So we are trying to analyze each one of them. Step 1, understand the business activities each department does. Understand services offered by them versus services expected from IT, including futuristic requirements. Step 2, negotiate and manage realistic expectations, face-to-face interactions. Now, sales function business activities versus ITSM responsibility. Customer communication, mail server uptime, proposal submission, availability of file server, traveling and meeting customers, remote access management, accessibility and response time, sales pipeline orders management, CRM uptime, channel management, CRM uptime, regional sales force management, CRM uptime, mobile device, ISP, SLA, customer order management, CRM or SAP uptime and response time, and then proposal and order storage and retrieval. That is BCM, business continuity management. So you can see which are all the areas and what are the responsibilities clearly listed here. Customer communication, mail server. proposal submission, availability of a file server. Then traveling and meeting customers, remote access management, accessibility and response time. Then sales pipeline and order management, CRM, customer relationship management, channel management, CRM, regional Salesforce management, CRM or mobile device. Then customer order management, CRM or SAP uptime and response time. And finally, proposal and storage, order storage and retrieval, PCM moving forward. Lot of finance processes and a list of finance processes and criticality. Now, finance process, corporate P&L generation, type management, criticality is very critical. Statutory financial audits, type of activity is core, critical. Asset management, support, vital. Corporate budgeting, because asset management, you can run an organization without asset management also, but then you won't have any clue about what is the asset of the organization. So there it is vital. It's a support activity. It's not a primary activity. Corporate budgeting management, it is very sensitive. Statutory compliance, core, critical. Payments, core, critical. Costing management, core, support, but critical. Then receivable management, core, critical. Revenue reconciliation, support, critical. Insurance management, it's a core activity, but not so sensitive activity. Note, the type of process could be A, management process, B, support process, C, core process, critical. Finance process, recovery time objective. So if it is corporate, the first one, dependent IT process, SAP and file server. Recovery time objective is 24 hours. Associated finance loss would be 0. Statutory financial audits, SAP, 24 hours. Asset management, 6 days a week. Corporate budgeting, 6 days a week. All others are 24 hours. And then insurance management again is 6 days a week. Recovery point objective. So the same points here. Corporate P&L generation, 0. Statutory financial audit, 0. Asset management, 0. Corporate budgeting, 0. Statutory compliance, 0. Payment, 0. Costing management, 0. Receivable management, 0. Revenue reconciliation, 0. And insurance management, just 1 day. Now, identifying key processes that support key services. Step 1, negotiate realistic expectations of services, right? When you negotiate with people for service level agreement, don't be too ambitious, because when you become too ambitious, what happens is your targets may not be what you call realistic. That means you might say something has to be done in 2 hours, but it may technically not be possible to complete in 2 hours. So that is where you must say, when you are negotiating, it should be realistic. That helps both people to talk. Otherwise, it becomes one-sided and the other side might feel bad about it, primarily because it is not possible to meet the demands put forward by you. Step 2, identify the list of activities that provide and support the services. Business functions, proposal and customer order, storage and retrieval. Process steps, identify a cloud service storage provider and finalize the deal. 2, sign the SLA agreement for uptime and with them and release the order. Agreed realistic expectation. Establish the local file server link through secure connection with cloud server for automated storage. Storage in an external cloud server with an uptime of 99.5%. Develop a monitoring process of daily storage at the cloud server. And retrieval of physical record in 4 hours and electronic in 2 hours. So develop a monitoring process daily for storage at the cloud server, put in a process for requesting for retrieval, test the actual time taken for retrieval of some sample records, and publish the new IT project to process owners. Communication is very important here. Everybody has to be communicated about all this, because only then the interaction between the service provider and the end user will be proper. And the criticality of these processes should be communicated to both the parties involved. Otherwise, what happens is one person might take it very seriously and the other person may not take it so seriously, right? That could be from your customer side as well as your employees. Identifying key suppliers that support key process. Key suppliers are those individuals who provide direct input in terms of products or support to the key process. Now, business function. Proposal and customer order storage and retrieval. Key suppliers, internal suppliers, the file server administrator, data backup administrator, network engineering engineer who provides FTP/IPsec-VPN connection for remote. Agreed realistic expectations. Storage in an external cloud server with an uptime of 99.5% and retrieval of physical record in 4 hours and electronic in 2 hours. External suppliers, the cloud service provider, administrator, and data retrieval specialist at the cloud service side. Now, there are some cases where it is 0% also. Here we are talking about 99.5% uptime. There are situations like banking and all, you cannot afford even that. Downtime is simply not permitted or allowed or affordable. Now, integrating the 4 key elements of good customer service. Traditional process workflow. You have input from the suppliers, process, and output. Now, revise workflow. Key customers, reasonable expectations. It goes to key services, critical to the customer success. Then comes key process, adds value to that, and then key suppliers provides high quality input. And it goes back the same way. Key suppliers, it goes to key process. From key process, it goes to key services, and then it reaches the key customers. Now, this is the revised workflow as per today's. In traditional workflow, you can see it is one-sided. It goes from top to bottom or bottom to up or whatever it is, only in one direction. But in nowadays, in the revised workflow, it goes in both directions because only then you will be able to balance things properly. 4 cardinal sins of customer service, something which you are not never supposed to do. Presuming that your customer are satisfied because they are not complaining. That is absolutely wrong. They might be complaining among themselves. They might be completely fed up with your system because sometimes what happens is when the response is not good, people keep on tending to stop talking. Then they say it among themselves. That is the most dangerous part. And you will never be aware of what are the issues with your system. Presuming that you have no customers. That is another thing. Measuring only what you want to measure to determine customer satisfaction. Absolutely not. Customer satisfaction is always measured by the customer. Say in a hotel, how much ever good the chef is and how much ever exotic dish he makes, end of the day when served on the table, the consumer should tell him that it is good. It is not your degree, your qualification, your experience, or anything that matters there. It is simply the customer's opinion, whether it is good or bad. It could be biased also because any person who is not used to star hotels, for example, will not like the taste of the food there because in star hotels it's kind of not spicy, or you have to specifically tell them that it should be spicy. Salt will be less because they have a habit of creating more of boiled stuff because they have a habit of promoting healthy food, and it will never match the taste of a ordinary hotel in your neighborhood. So a person normally eating there, going there, his customer satisfaction will be in doldrums. He will not be able to accept it at all. Now, there are other customers who will definitely prefer this food compared to the other one. So there again, you have to take an average. You must interact with every customer possible and get it. So don't try to measure it from your point of view, measure it from their point of view. Of course, you can add your own points to that, but primarily of 10 questions, I would say 7 should be from the customer, 3 should be internal. Presuming that written SLA will solve the problem, prevent dispute, and ensure great customer service never happens. If you feel that if you put everything on paper, things are going to be fine, no, absolutely not. Just a second. Okay. So these are some mistakes that we make while providing customer service. Now, ITIL, which is Information Technology Infrastructure Library. You might have come across this in some other paper also sometimes. The ITIL Information Technology Infrastructure Library is a framework designed to standardize the selection, planning, delivery, and maintenance of IT services within a business. They are not certification standards. They are an array of books on best practices available on pay. Right. So, as I told you earlier, different companies work in different styles. So, you cannot have standards across organizations for implementing IT infrastructures. So, what they have done is they have created a compilation of so many things put together, which provides you with an idea about how or what are the best practices available in the industry related to IT infrastructure, so that you can use it as a reference material while designing your own infrastructure. They never say you should do it this way because it is not possible. Even the same type of organizations might function internally different in a different manner. So that is something which we must understand. And that is why we say it is not certification standards. They are just an array of books or reference material, what you call, on best practices available on pay. The goal is to improve efficiency and achieve predictable service delivery. The ITIL framework enables IT administrators to be a business service partner rather than just back-end support. The ITIL framework enables IT administrators to be a business service partner rather than just back-end support. ITIL guidelines and best practices align IT department actions and expenses to business needs and change them as the business grows or shifts direction. So ITIL guidelines and the best practices align IT department actions and expenses to business needs. We always keep saying that whenever you have an IT corporate strategy, it should be aligned with your business. Technology is there, left and right. But whenever you think of implementing technology, the first thing that you must probably think is, do you actually need it? Or is this technology going to help me in some way? It's not like while buying a mobile phone. Now, those who don't have limitation of budget, they just go by the model, the latest they want. That's all. But frankly speaking, how many features of that phone will you be using? Now, you're not bothered about all this because your fund issue is not there. The moment you start having financial issues, then your approach will be completely different. What do you try to do then? Try to get the best model with the maximum features at the lowest cost. That is the time when you study about different models, compare products in the market, etc. If you have enough money, Apple, the latest model, that's what I want. You don't think about anything else. You don't even think whether I need an Apple or not. Right? So you'll end up spending unwanted money in getting something for nothing, for no purpose at all. This happens only when you have sufficient resources. But for all other people, they try to get the best possible with the money they can shell out or they can spare. Now, developments leading to ITIL. Status of initiatives by IT managers over 25 years. Failed quality circles, focus groups, work simplification programs. Succeeded mentoring programs, employee empowerment, cross training, rotation of staff assignments. Now, initiatives faded away when more executives turnaround occurred. Process management initiatives in 1980 and early 1990s in American industry. Total quality management, continuous process improvement, statistical process controls. Total quality management or TQM. Malcolm Baldrig's National Quality Award. continuous process improvement, total productive maintenance, and statistical process controls, which is 6E. These programs are easy to start, but difficult to sustain and prone to very short life cycle. But how come ITIL has been living so long? It is because it was built on foundation of IT services and management. And most of these standards or rather guidelines given here are based on experience. So people find it quite useful and practical also. Now, IT service management. ITSM bridges the gap between business goals of a company and the technology used to accomplish those goals. It sets up formalized and regular communication channels to allow requirements, requests, and difficulties to be expressed and dealt with. The evolution to service-oriented IT organization leads us to three primary objectives in ITSM: high quality, cost-effective, and value-adding IT services, improve quality of IT service provision, and to reduce the long-term cost of IT service provision. So one is the evolution of service-oriented IT organization leads us to three primary objectives of ITSM. One is high quality, cost-effective, and value-adding IT services. To improve uh, quality of IT service provision. Three, to reduce the long-term cost of IT service provision. The biggest problem faced in IT infrastructure is the cost involved. Because remember one thing, just because you have invested in technology, you cannot charge more for your products, especially if those are products which commonly are used by customers. This poses a great challenge for organizations. So how do you justify the cost of investment in IT, or what you call the rate of return on investment? The only way that you can do that is make sure that your functioning becomes so efficient and thereby you land up reducing inventory, uh, increasing the efficiency of your work, thereby reducing the cost. So using technology should help you to do your work more effectively and efficiently, which will help you to reduce the cost of the that is the only way you can, because of course, the premium brands and all, you can increase the price accordingly. But for other brands, it is not mostly possible. They have to go by the market driven pricing mechanism where, say, for example, if it is a soap, a person has got a budget in his mind regarding how much he will shell out for a soap. He won't shell out more than that. Nothing more. Right? So if you increase the price of your product, that person might buy another product of his price rather than sticking to your product. Because nowadays brand loyalty is also has considerably come down because the market has become more open. People know choices. Earlier, I mean, especially when my younger days and all, there were only 2 or 3 bathing soaps available. Like for example, Synthol, Hammam, Liril, that's all. Not many brands were available. And of course, Lifebuoy was there. So we just had to say a soap. He would give whatever is available. Today, the scenario is not like that. People have more choices, more options. So they will go for another brand. In the process, you will be the loser. And a customer who has shifted, it is very difficult to bring him back to your shop. Now, origins of ITIL. It started in 1980s in Great Britain More computerized led to so much IT dependency, poor service quality complained by customers. IBM was the dominant IT player when attempted to address this issue in 1981 by releasing IBM Yellow Books. The issues of infrastructure performance, programming standards, and service levels were addressed in these books, but it never took off. In 1986, the British government authorized its centralized telecommunication and computing agency, CTCA, to sponsor a program to promote improved management of IT services. And in 1989, CTCA, with an expert group of more than 40 scientists, completed a set of 42 books that comprised the initial set of books covering the first version of ITIL. In 1991, a user forum for ITIL was formed in the Netherlands and called the Information Technology Service Management Forum, it7. In 1995, the total number of ITIL books had grown to more than 60, and the volume was becoming more and a bit unwieldy. Based on the input from ITSMF, work began in 1998 on a second, more condensed version of ITIL known as version 2, version 2 or V2. So this is just about the history of how ITIL developed over a period of time. The team has reduced the number of books to just 7 now, right? We're talking about from 60 to around 7. 1 is service support, 2 is service delivery, 3 security management, 4 application management, 5 information and communication technology, ICT infrastructure management, planning to implement service management, 7 the business perspective. IT service support and service delivery were received full recognition as it covered most of the IT infrastructure process. Service delivery, service support, service delivery, service level management, financial management for IT service, capacity management, availability management, IT service continuity management, security management. 7 service desk, incident management, problem management, configuration management, change management, and release. Now, Microsoft became one of the first American companies to embrace ITIL and developed an operation architecture on top of it called the Microsoft Operation Framework, MOF. The first book of ITIL V2 was published. In 2001, the service delivery and security management books of ITIL V2 were published, with other 4 books following it by 2002. A new version V3 of ITIL became available in June 2007. The most significant change between ITIL V2 and V3 is the introduction of the concept of service lifecycle. So service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, continuous service improvement. This is what is called the service lifecycle. So timelines of major events. It is in 2008 when Microsoft actually released MOF version 4. Quality approach and standards. Now, ITIL focuses on providing high quality services and supports quality systems such as ISO 9000, total quality framework such as European Framework for Quality Management, EFQM, the major quality recognition programs such as Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, MBNQA, the British Standard Institute, BSI, which published a code of practice for IT service management, PD 0005, which was based on ITIL. There is now a standard called BS 15000 in support of IT service management. The International Standards Organization, ISO, published a December 2005 a standard for IT service management, ISO 20000, that is based heavily on ITIL processes. ITIL constitutes codes of practice for quality management of IT services and infrastructure process in which the services are matched to business needs. There are a number of unique characteristics and benefits of ITIL, including the best practice guidance, non-proprietary, comprehensive, consistent terminal. Comparison of IT process between ITIL and it7. The infrastructure library and service management, availability management, performance tuning, and production acceptance. Parts of release. One is part of capacity management, other is parts of release management, change management, problem management, storage management not specifically covered in ITIL, network management not specifically covered in ITIL, configuration management, capacity management, strategic security, which is security management, business continuity, IT service continuity, facilities management, not specifically covered by ITIL. Now, 10 common myths concerning the implementation of ITIL. You must implement all ITIL or no ITIL at all. Prioritize and decide the first win approach. This is actually a myth. You can take only those sections of ITIL which are relevant to you and which you feel will be definitely advantageous for you. ITIL is based on infrastructure management principles. IT service management principles, not necessarily. ITIL applies mostly to data center operations, help desk, VB admin, application development, hardware upgrades, and network provisions too, not necessary. 4. Everyone needs to be trained on ITIL fundamentals. All involved in design, implementation, use, and maintenance gets a priority. 5. Full understanding of ITIL requires purchase of library. Quick dissemination happens through conferences, training, ITIL experts, and discussions too. ITIL process should be implemented only one at a time. Intertwined process must go hand in hand. Now, ITIL provides detailed templates for implementation. Template is custom to every organization. ITIL provides inputs. ITIL framework applies only to large shops, applies regardless of size, scope, complexity, or platforms. Now, ITIL recommends tools to use for implementation. It's a process-oriented library of best practice. There are little need to understand ITIL origins. Integration and collaboration are the two key cornerstones of ITIL. Learn from the past. Service lifecycle or service strategy, what you call it. Service lifecycle. It starts with service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, continual service improvement. Now, these are all cyclic in nature, you can see. In service strategies, policies, resource and constraints, SLPs from requirements. Service design, solution design, architecture, standards, SDPs. SDP stands for service design package, and SLP stands for service level package. Service transition plan, tested solutions, SKMS updated, service knowledge management system. Now, service operational plan, operation services, continual service improvement action. Now, it is all based on this database. Service knowledge management system, including the service portfolio and service catalog for the same. Now, process and functions. ITIL V3, 26 processes and 4 functions spread across 5 stages of ITIL lifecycle. Process defines policies, standards, guidelines, activities, and work instruction. It takes some defined inputs to produce desired results. It transforms inputs into outputs which deliver measurable results to customers in response to specific events. A structured set of activities designed to accomplish a specific objective. A process takes one or more defined inputs and turns them into defined outputs. Example, event management, incident management, etc. Now, functions defined as group of people or tools required to carry out one or more process and activities. Examples, service desk, operations, application management, IT operation management, etc. The terms process and functions often tend to be used synonymously. However, ITIL V3 has clear distinction. Example, service/help desk is a function while service support is a process. Our process is abstract definition and function is a tactical implementation. Again, process and function across all 5 stages of ITSM lifecycle. Service strategy, developing a clear vision and plan for service, portfolio design, demand management, and IT financial management. Service design, developing appropriate and innovative IT services, including their architecture, processes, policy, and documents with the goal of satisfying current and future business requirements. Service transition, deploying new services, managing service changes, and the knowledge related to those services. Service operation, delivering services to clients at the agreed level of service while managing the applications and underlying technology to support their delivery. Next, continuous service improvement, sustaining and improving value to the customer, collaborating on design improvements and service modification. The above list is representative. However, the exact names and number of listed processes and functions might vary with the actual version of ITIL. Service strategy that drives ITSM. Whole ITSM is driven by the strategy that you plan for providing service, effective and efficient service. Now, service strategy, vision, and plan for service portfolio design, demand management, and IT financial management. Drives design of service portfolio, integrated set of services, considers customers' demand for such services, business decisions, cost benefit / return on investment analysis. Now, 1, service strategy; 2, service design; 3, service transition; 4, service operation. Plan, do, check, and act. 5, continuous improvement. This is also called the PDCA lifecycle. 4 P's of service strategy: perspective, position, plan, and pattern. All around the strategy of IT service. Perspective describes a vision and direction and articulates the business philosophy of interacting with customer. Example, being responsive to customers with quick and inexpensive solutions. Positions describes the decision to adopt a well-defined stance, strategic position. It is expressed as distinctiveness in minds of customers by competing in this space with differentiated offering. Whether it is about offering a wide range of services to a particular type of customer or being the lowest cost option, it is a strategic position. Example, to start small with laptops and desktops and expand to servers and cloud. Plan. A plan describes how do we offer high value or low cost services, or how do we achieve and offer our specialized services. Pattern. It describes the organization's fundamental way of doing things, level of customer service, and competitive pricing. Kindly note the quiz might have appeared. Please answer the quiz in the process. Now, service strategy development. Competing in the marketplace by position, acquiring distinctive capabilities / assets to differentiate from competition. Classification of IT services. Type 1, internal service provider, in-house IT department, positioned to serve internal business units. Type 2, shared service unit, grouping of one core function such as IT, finance, HR, legal, logistics, etc. into a corporate shared service unit. Type 3, external service provider, separate commercial entity from the businesses it services and operates as competitive business in the marketplace. Service strategy. Strategy management for IT services. Assesses the service providers' offerings, capabilities, competitors, as well as current and potential market spaces in order to develop a strategy to serve customers. Service portfolio management ensures that the service provider has the right mix of services to meet required business outcomes at an appropriate level of investment. The financial management for IT services manages the service provider's budgeting, accounting, and charging requirements. Demand management, understand, anticipate, and influence customer demand for services. Demand management works with capacity management to ensure that the service provider has sufficient capacity to meet the required demand. BRM, business relationship management, maintains a positive relationship with customers. Business relationship management identifies the needs of existing and potential customers and ensures that appropriate services are developed to meet those needs. Business relationship management, strategy management for IT services, service portfolio management, demand management, financial management for IT services. Now, these are again basically basic guidelines. When you build upon this, it is completely dependent on your organization, what your organization wants. So you must have a clear idea about your organization, the functioning, the various processes, etc., happening there. Now, understanding service portfolio management. Service portfolio management is the process So, understanding service portfolio management. Service portfolio management is a process responsible for the assembly of an initial service design package, SDP, for each service and its maintenance through the service lifecycle. This also involves cooperating with the continual service improvement process. The service portfolio management ensures that the service provider is offering right combination of services and meet the customer's need. Service portfolio manager is the process owner of this process. Goals of service portfolio management, or short SPM. The purpose of service portfolio management is to provide answer to the following questions. Why should the customer buy this service? Why should they buy it from us? What form does the pricing structure take? What are strengths and weaknesses, priorities and risks? How should we apply our resources and capabilities? These are the goals of service portfolio management. Now, service catalog. Service catalog is a subset of service portfolio and contains presently active services in service operation phase. Service catalog shows services you currently offer. Service portfolio shows all services past, present and future. Service portfolio. Market space. Market space 2, market space 3, third party services, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, service improvement plan. Understanding financial management. Financial management deals with accounting, budgeting, and charging activities for services. It determines all the costs of IT organization on the basis of direct and indirect cost. This process is used by all three types of service providers: internal, external, or shared service providers. There are some of the benefits of financial management: enhanced decision making, speed of change, service portfolio management, operational control, value capture and creation. Financial manager is the process owner of this process. I think we'll stop for today. You can answer the quiz and then leave.